Hello everybody and welcome back to the Mindfulness Corner. For those who are new here, my name is Haley. I am your passionate, fearless leader in the quest to mindfulness. So today I thought it would be really important for us to go over and understand the basics of mindfulness and just get a really good foundation of understanding so that through our variety of practices we can really connect back to the center focus on mindfulness so that we can really understand it as a whole. Now we're going to go over some tips for how to practice mindfulness as effectively as possible and just really get yourself in the right mindset for mindfulness. So tip number one is to really observe and be aware of your breath. Your breath is what brings you back to center and what really you can use to refocus if ever you come off task in mindfulness. So it's really, really important just to be extremely aware of it and be connected to it. Number two is to be fully engaged in whatever you're currently participating in. So with all five senses, if you are washing your hands, you're thinking of the way the water feels on your hands. You're listening to the sound it makes as it comes out of the faucet and hits the sides of the sink basin. You're just really connecting all five of your senses to the very specific activity that you're doing. And that is a really great way to ground yourself into mindfulness. Tip number three is to be okay with doing nothing. Stillness is a really important feature of mindfulness. In today's world, you're so encouraged to be productive, be busy. It's like something people pride themselves on. It's like, oh, I'm so busy today. But mindfulness is a celebration of stillness, and doing nothing is fully acceptable and okay when you're practicing mindfulness. That's actually what we want you to do, is become fully aware of your breath, and if just aware of the moment, even if in that moment all you're doing is being still. That is a great way to practice. Number four is really important to remember. If you get really caught up in your thoughts, or if you have racing thoughts like me during mindfulness, it's really important to kind of just remember, okay, as your thoughts come along, you acknowledge them, you thank them for coming, but you don't interact with them. A lot of the time when you're having thoughts, you really want to start the back and forth, the conversation, questioning that thought, wondering where it came from. Try not to interact with it while you're practicing mindfulness. That way you keep your focus on the present moment and you don't get lost in your thoughts. So just being aware of when your thoughts do come and when they do kind of take over your mindful practice, just to acknowledge them and then send them on their way. On that same note, and tip number five is just to remember that thoughts are just thoughts. You don't need to define yourself with your thoughts. They don't make up your entire being. Something that I was told once that really stuck with me is that thoughts are just the stories that we tell ourselves or others tell us. So that means they're not even necessarily the truth. So just remember that when thoughts are coming into your brain and interrupting your mindfulness practice, as you acknowledge them and send them on their way, thoughts are just thoughts. They don't define me. They're not who I am. They're just stories that exist in my head. Number six is to just listen without any judgment, any bias, without labeling, and just listening mindfully is to really helps rather to notice or observe, because with noticing and observing, you're not going through the process of judging, which is totally normal. We're all predisposed to judge because it's a form of self-preservation. It's what we use to be survivalists, where we would judge a situation, see whether or not it was safe for us. But now that we're not cavemen anymore, it's much easier to determine that a situation is safe and therefore turn off the judgmental part of your mind, turn off anything that wants to put bias on the present, and just accept the moment completely as it is. Tip number seven is to recognize any activities that you go into autopilot on. So maybe it's driving, walking, getting the mail, brushing your teeth, washing your hands. Those are all pretty normal activities that we do throughout the day, but they could be an opportunity for mindfulness, just depending on the way you approach it. Most of the time we allow ourselves to just get lost in thought while we're doing something mundane like folding the laundry, but you could make it a mindfulness moment by really focusing on like how the laundry smells, the freshness of the detergent, how the clothes feel on your hands, how soft it is right as it comes out of the dryer, how warm it is. So you can make that another opportunity to practice, and it's also really helpful for days where you're really busy and don't think you have time to practice. Taking one of those activities and making it a moment for mindfulness and recognizing what those activities are really helpful. And the last tip, tip number 8, is to pay attention to nature. So nature and mindfulness really go hand in hand because there is so much in nature that you can really focus on with all 5 of your senses. And it's really great because it's so accessible, it's free, almost anyone can do it from anywhere that they are. So if you don't really have a lot of time, just look at the tree outside of your window, or look at the grass in your backyard if you have one, and just really take just even 2 minutes to be mindful about it. Practicing even small amounts every day is just so important. So that's it. That was our little crash course on mindfulness, our beginner's mindfulness 101. Thank you so much for joining me for this video. I'm really excited for our next video, which is going to be all about journaling and how that connects to mindfulness. So until then, good vibes, deep breaths, and make it a great day. Thank you so much. See you next time.